Hello everyone. Today we'll be learning about mensuration. Mensuration is a topic which is being taught in CBSE board for class 8. Mensuration is a very interesting concept of mathematics. It is something which children sometimes find difficult because of remembering a lot of formulas. But if they are able to understand the concept well, even the formulas are something which becomes easier to memorize. For today's class, I hope you enjoy about how we approach the idea of mensuration, and let us begin now. So first we need to understand about the various figures that are present. So the plane figures, we think about their regions and boundaries. So I hope that we all are aware about how plane figures are calculated, perimeter. So how is the perimeter calculated for plane figures is that it is the distance along the boundary. So if I give a piece of land or a farm, and if we are to measure the perimeter of that particular piece of land, then it will always be the boundary. Boundary, fences, these are the words which makes a child remember easily about the concept of perimeter. So that's why I've given those examples over here about the fence of a field, a compound wall on all the sides of the house, and a track to conduct sports. So first we'll start with the rectangle, perimeter of a rectangle. So in perimeter of a rectangle, rectangle has length and breadth, where length and breadth are not equal most of the times. So over here we have a rectangle which has two lengths and two breadths. So therefore the perimeter obviously will be where you are taking the length over here. So what we do over here is we take the length. So we are taking the length over here. So two lengths and two breadths which are present. So therefore what we do is we add the lengths, we add the breadth. So therefore it gives us 2 times of length, 2 times of breadth. So therefore you just multiply 2 with the length and the breadth. So if you remember the shape which is of a rectangle, and then it becomes easier to derive the formula for the perimeter of it. So now we'll go ahead. So let us take this example over here. In this example, we see that the length over here is 50 meter. Whenever long has been mentioned, it means it is the length, and width over here basically means the height which is present. So therefore, we have the length and the width, length or the height, and which is 25 and 50. To calculate the perimeter, we know that it is 2 times the length that we are taking added to the breadth. So therefore, we will have 2 multiplied by 50 meter plus 25 meter, and then we directly solve it further. So therefore we get that for this particular sum, the perimeter of the field is 150 meters. Now let us understand the concept in a square. So the square always has how many sides? It has 4 sides. So that it has 4 sides, and over here we see there's 1, 2, 3 and 4. The length in the square will always be the same. So therefore we are just wanting to add the 4 sides. So therefore it will be 4 multiplied by side. So therefore we understand the perimeter of a square. Now let's take an example. If we have to find the perimeter of a square park of the side of 70 meters. So there is a square park which has a side as 70 meters. So therefore we have to take 4 times multiplied by 70, which is the length of a side. And we solve it further and we get the answer as 280 meters. Now we go to the next one, this is a triangle. So again we have to understand that whenever we speak about perimeter, irrespective of what is the shape, perimeter is just the boundary that we have to calculate. So over here what we see in a triangle is there are how many sides? There are 3 sides. Now in this particular triangle which has been given, the sides might be equal, but we don't have to focus on what the length over here is. We are just understanding that whatever the length is in a triangle, the perimeter will always be when we are adding the sides length. So that is a perimeter of a triangle, that is side plus side, not 3 into side. If we have equilateral triangle where all the sides are equal, as we see over here, all the sides are equal, so then we can say that it will be 3 multiplied by the side. So if we have an equilateral triangle of the side of 14 centimeter, the calculation of the perimeter will be 3 multiplied by the side, which will be 3 into 14. So therefore we have the answer as 42 centimeter. So therefore the perimeter of the equilateral triangle over here will be given as 42 centimeter. We will take one more example over here. which you all can also try. So if there's a question where you have you have to find the perimeter of rectangular park. So the length is given as 50 and breadth is given as 75. Now we know that in a rectangle, this is how a rectangle would be like, and we have two lengths and two breadth. Okay, so if we have to calculate what will be the perimeter, you have to add the two lengths which are present and the two breadths which are equal. So over here we know the value of the length and the breadth and we substitute. So our length will be over here as 100 and the breadth over here is 75. So we directly add 2 multiplied by 175 and you get the answer as 350. So therefore we get the perimeter of a rectangular park, which is 350 meter. Similarly, we have to find the perimeter of an equilateral triangle, and the side over here is how much? 12 centimeter. So in an equilateral triangle, all the sides are going to be equal. So because over here we know it is 12, we directly can do 3 multiplied by 12 and we get the value as 36 centimeter. Find the perimeter of a square of side 20 centimeter. So perimeter of a square is 4 multiplied by the side. So therefore we have 4 multiplied by 20 centimeter and thus we get the perimeter of a square, which is 80 centimeter over here. Now we go ahead. Over here they have given that the perimeter of a rectangle whose length and breadth are 150 centimeter and 1 meter respectively. Whenever such sums occur where you see that the units are different, it is very essential that we bring the units into the same unit over here. So we know that 150 centimeter can be either written as 1.5 meter, but for easier calculation we all know that 1 meter is equals to 100 centimeter. So therefore we have 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeter. We substitute the value. So therefore we know that this becomes our length and this is our breadth. Substitute the value over here. We get 2 multiplied by 250 and therefore the perimeter of the rectangle is 500 centimeter. Find the cost of fencing a rectangular park at the rate of rupees 12 per meter if the length and the width of the park are 225 meter and 175 meter respectively. So therefore to find the cost of fencing where rupees 12 is the per meter. So whenever we speak about fencing, it means that it's a boundary that we are creating. So boundary का मतलब इधर हो जाता है फिर से perimeter. So therefore we are trying to find the perimeter of the rectangular park. Now if this is my rectangular park, and I know that the length over here is how much? 225 meter. So this is 225 and sorry, length is 225 and the breadth is 175. So we directly substitute the value over here first. So what we do is first we write the given information, which is the length and the breadth. So the length of the rectangular park is 225 meter, the breadth is 175 meter. Then after that we find the perimeter of the rectangular park, which is 2 multiplied by length plus breadth, and then we find the value of the perimeter. After we find the value of the perimeter, which is in terms of meter, means 800 meters, we know that the value of 1 meter is rupees 12. So what we do is to find the cost of fencing the entire rectangular park will be 12 multiplied by 800, which is rupees 9600. Now let us move ahead and understand what is a plane. A plane, so far the shapes that we were studying and finding the perimeter of and the area was all for 2D shapes. So what is a plane? A plane is a flat surface. A plane is a flat surface like a tabletop that extends over in all direction. It is usually a two-dimensional figure and there are three non-collinear points which determine a plane. Otherwise, it always stays a ray or a line. So far, all of the geometry we have done in these lessons took place in a plane. So now we will be understanding about the three-dimensional worlds. What are the three-dimensional shapes that you see in your world? Like the sphere, the boxes, the cones, the cylinders, the prisms, all these become three-dimensional. So geometrical figure in three dimensions. So they are solid, they have a surface area and there is a volume. Okay. Yeah. So now if you look at this, which is a rectangle, how do you find the area of a rectangle? This is a square. Sorry for the, yeah. So therefore, for a rectangle, the area is length into width. For the square, it is a multiplied by a. For triangle, it is half into breadth into height. And for parallelogram, it is breadth into height. For area, we have the for circle, we have the area as a pi r square, and for trapezium, because we see that it is a rectangle which is present, which becomes a rectangle which is present, and we also have a triangle. So therefore, we get the value as half into a plus b into h. Now let us first start with the area of a rectangle. So we know that the perimeter over here is always going to be added. So therefore the unit whenever we speak about the perimeter will always be in terms of centimeter or meter or kilometer. But what happens in area is, because the area of a shape is a measure of the surface within the perimeter. So if you see that over here, this boundary that we observe, this becomes a perimeter, and this area that is present over here, this is my area of the rectangle. So therefore over here the perimeter will be what? If it is for 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter, then it will be 1 plus 1. So therefore the perimeter will probably over here become 4 centimeter. But the area which is within this place will become 1 multiplied by 1. So therefore it becomes 1 centimeter square. So now these are usually the examples that we observe, like a football ground, a tennis court, a pool table, a card. All these things are what we observe around us. So therefore if I have to find the area of these shapes, so over here I have the length as 100 meter and the breadth as 50 meter. So therefore the area of this will be length into breadth. Therefore we multiply 100 with 50 and get the value as 500 meter square. Similarly, when we speak about this example over here, we know that in this card Queen of Hearts, the length over here is 8.5 centimeter and the breadth is 5.5 centimeter. So therefore the area over here for this particular card becomes 46.75 centimeter square. Similarly, you can pause this video and try out the other examples, and you can check your answer to understand if your calculations are correct or not. Now let us go to the next one, which is the area of a triangle. So the area of a triangle is half the area of surrounding rectangle or parallelogram. Why is it said so? Over here we observe that if I take this as a rectangle and if this becomes my half, okay, so this is my half over here, which is my height, and this is my triangle, this entire complete triangle. So therefore I observe that this is my height and I have a base over here. So therefore the rectangle area over here will be 2 times of this and 2 times of this, if we observe clearly. So therefore what is the triangle going to be? It will be the half of this rectangle. So it will be half of this and half of this, which is nothing but it will be half of the rectangle area. Thus we can derive that the area of a triangle over here is equals to half into the base multiplied by half into the height, because this is the height and this is the base. So therefore if this was my base like it is given over here, and this becomes my height, we get that the triangle which is falling in here over here will be, the area of the triangle will be half into base into height. Y'all can try some of these examples over here. Y'all can pause the video and also solve some of these example sums that are given. There are also the answers which are given next to it. So therefore if you observe that we have this triangle over here where the height of this triangle is 12 centimeter and the base over here is 10 centimeter. So here we need to find the area. So therefore the area will be half into base, which is 10, multiplied by h, which is 12 centimeter. Now let us go to the next one, which is the trapezium. So trapezium is usually considered over here as a shape, a solid shape, which has two sides over here, two parallel sides, and it has a perpendicular height also. So therefore area will be equal to half the sum of the parallel sides multiplied by the perpendicular height. So this is the height that we observe, and these are the parallel sides that are present. So therefore the sum, the area that we find over here is that the area will be equal to half into a plus b multiplied by h. That is a formula which we have to remember for trapezium. Now over here, what are the various examples that are given? You all can try it by pausing the video. If you look at this sum over here, we have that the 7 and 5 are the two parallel sides that are present, and there is one perpendicular side which will be our h. So therefore we have the values of a plus b and the value of h. So therefore we have half multiplied by 7 plus 5, the whole multiplied by 6, and therefore we find the value of the area of the trapezium as 36 centimeters square. Now let us understand how do we find the area of a circle. So area of a circle, the circle has nothing but many sectors. So if we try to do this, this can be also an experiment or a model that you all can create at home to understand about how we find the area of a circle. So as the number of sectors is tending to infinity, the transform shape becomes more and more like a triangle. What will be the dimensions eventually become? It will eventually become similar to that of a rectangle. So therefore over here we have divided into 32 sectors, but the main idea is that the circumference of an area is always 2 pi r, and therefore when you are taking the pi r, which is the circumference, into r number of times that are present on the base of radius, we get that area will be equal to pi r into r, which is pi r square. Now how do we derive this? Okay, this is very important to remember. So therefore we know that the circumference of the entire circle is going to be 2 pi r. So if I break down these sectors and form it in form of a rectangle over here, the length will be how much? It will be pi r, correct, because the circumference is going to be 2 pi r, and I know that this part which is present, the length over here of this half of the sector over here is going to be r because of the radius of the circle. So therefore what will be the area of this rectangle? It will be this pi r multiplied by r, which will give us the pi r square. So let us take this example when we have to solve of a circle which has the radius as 8 centimeter. So therefore the area will be pi r square. So it will be the value of pi multiplied by 8 square, where pi is nothing but 22 by 7 or else 3.14. Now let us understand about various three-dimensional structures that are present in the geometry. So therefore three-dimensional figures or solids can be made up of flat or curved surfaces. Now each flat surface is called as a face. So over here if you see this point that are present over these corner points that are observed, they become the vertex or the vertices. So these are the vertices. These lines that we see which is the meeting point of two faces are going to be your edges, and these flat surfaces that are present over here like this 1, 2, 3, all these surfaces over here are going to be our faces. So therefore the three-dimensional geometry, remember that there are three dimensions that we are talking about, and the three dimensions that we talk about are nothing but the faces, it is the edges and the vertices. So if you take a box can be considered which has how many faces? It's like a cuboid. So therefore it will be having 6 rectangular faces. It shall have 12 edges and 8 vertices. Every box has 3 dimensions that we talk about, and these dimensions are going to be in terms of length, width and height, and these 3 dimensions are marked in the figure. Then we have to understand the volume. The volume is a space which is taken up by the object, the other object can take up, and usually it is in terms of cubic yards and gallons. Now the understanding the volume and surface area of a cube. So therefore the volume of a cube or a box is found by multiplying its 3 dimensions. So what are the 3 dimensions over here? It is the length, the width and the height. So these 3 dimensions are being multiplied over here to find the volume. So for example, if this is the box that I know, or the cube which I know, and it has the length, width and height of 8, 5 and 4 respectively, the volume will be taken wherein we multiply all the three values, and we get the volume of the cube. Similarly, the surface area, how is the surface area multiplied? So while finding the surface area, it will be of me multiplying 8 by 5. And this 8 by 5, because it's the surface area, will be multiplied how many times? Multiple times. So therefore what do we do is, in this for the volume of to find the surface area, we know that there are how many faces? 6 faces. So 6 faces over here mean nothing but similar to 6 rectangles. So therefore we multiply the two rectangles that are present. So it will be 8 by 5, 8 multiplied by 5 and 8 multiplied by 5. The other face will be 5 multiplied by 4 and 5 multiplied by 4. And the last face will be 8 multiplied by 4 and 8 multiplied by 4. Similarly, you add all these three values and then you get the surface area of the rectangle. So then we have the various cube and the various examples like a triangular prism, a triangular pyramid, a rectangular prism, pentagonal prism, hexagonal pyramid, pentagonal pyramid and rectangular pyramid. A prism is a three-dimensional solid with two congruent bases that lie in parallel planes, one directly above the other and with edges connecting the corresponding vertices of the bases. The bases can be any shape and the name of the prism is based on the name of the bases. For example, the prism shown over here is a triangular prism. Now they say that the volume of a prism is found by multiplying the area of its base by its height. The surface area of a prism is found by adding the areas of all its polygonal faces including its bases. Let us take an example of prism. So here we see that this prism is nothing but a triangular prism and it has a base in the form of a right angle triangle. Now what are the sides that we observe? It is 6 centimeter, 8 centimeter, 10 centimeter and the height of the prism is 5.5 centimeter. So we have to find the total surface area. To find the total surface area, we observe that there are two triangles and there are three rectangles which are being formed. So the first will be two rectangles which will be of equal area. So therefore it will be half into base into height. So therefore we find the this of the two we find the two surface area of the two triangles that are present over here. After that, you have to find the area of the first rectangle. The first rectangle will have the multiplication as 5.5 by 10. The other one will be 5.5 by 6 and 5.5 by 8. And then we find the volume, which is the base area multiplied by height. The last we go to is a cylinder. So if we observe, this thing over here is also a cylinder. So when we talk about a cylinder, the cylinder will have the volume of pi r square h. It is like a prism in which the bases are nothing but they are circles and this is more curved over here. So therefore in order to find the surface area, we have to find the area of this and then you have to find the area of this surrounding over here. So we observe that the volume of a cylinder is pi r square h, and the surface area of the cylinder will be 2 pi r square plus 2 pi r h. Then we go to the next one, which is the cone. So a cone is like a pyramid but with a circular base instead of a polygonal base. The volume of a cone is 1/3 the area of its base times its height. B will be equal to 1 upon 3 pi r square h and the surface area of a cone is A equal to pi r square plus pi r into root of r square plus h square. Then we understand about a sphere. So for a sphere, it is the mathematical word for a ball. So whenever we speak in mathematical terms, we don't call it as a globe or a ball or a round. We always call it as a sphere. So a sphere is when the set of all points in space, a fixed distance from given point called as the center of the sphere. A sphere has a radius and diameter just like a circle does. The volume of a sphere is V equal to 4 upon 3 pi r cube and the area surface area of the sphere is 4 pi r square. So let us just now revise the formulas that are given. So when we speak about a cylinder, the total surface area is 2 pi r into h plus r and the volume is pi r square h. For a right circular hollow cylinder, the cylinder is hollow. So therefore this is a revised formula which we will be learning in the higher grades. A solid right circular cone is 1 upon 3 pi r square h. For a frustum has two radius over here, so therefore it will be similar to that of a cylinder, similar to that of a cylinder, so of a cone. So therefore it will be 1 upon 3 pi h, and because the r over here is different, it is small r square, capital R square. So the sum of these plus the product of small r and big R. And then you have the sphere where the surface area is 4 pi r square and the volume is 4 upon 3 pi r cube. Now let us do some of these easy questions to just gauge how much you have understood from this lesson. So what is the area of a rectangle? The area of a rectangle is half into base into height as given over here. Then we have, if the number of cement bags used to construct a path is needed, then the formula to find the number of cement bag is that first is that the area of a path plus area cemented by one bag, area of a path multiplied by area of place cemented by one bag, or the area of path divided by area of the cemented place by one bag. So the correct answer is that first we find what is the area of the path and then we divide it by the area of cemented place by one bag. What is the area of a circle? The area of a circle is pi r square. The area of a rhombus. Now the rhombus area will be diagonal 1 multiplied by diagonal 2, and that is how we find for the rhombus. So if this is the rhombus which is given, which has equal sides, we just have to find the product of both the diagonals and get the area of the rhombus. Then is the next one, the volume of a cylinder. The volume of a cylinder is pi r square h. How many centimeters make a liter? So it is 100 centimeter cube. So therefore when we speak with terms of centimeter and liter, we need to consider about how much of the cuboid we consider in terms of centimeter. So therefore it is 1 liter is equals to 1000 centimeter cube. How many pairs of the faces in cuboids are identical? In the cuboid, the faces that are going to be identical will be 3 pairs. The perimeter of a parallelogram is going to be 2 times, or is going to be none, because we cannot directly give a formula over here. We just have to keep adding it for the parallelogram. Now when we speak about the faces in cuboids, we see that there are 6 faces in the cuboid which are same, which make it nothing but 3 pairs. So that's why focus on the entire word which is given and do not settle directly by saying okay it is 6, so let us measure. No, it has to be 3 pairs over here, which is the 6 faces. I hope it was a very good session for you, and you all understood. If you all do have any doubts, then you all can always ask the questions down below. Thank you so much.